Welcome to Sylvia Speaks, a space created for Latinas to cultivate healing, knowledge around trauma, money wounds, finding your purpose, and unapologetically speaking your truth. A space that talks about it all, from healing mother wounds, difficulties in parenting, struggles in love, and the journey to self-discovery. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of Sylvia Speaks, the podcast. As you can see, the background today is a little different. I am actually recording in Abby's room because Homegirl is the only person in this house that has AC. That's crazy. But Abby, when you see this, thank you for letting me use your room. Even though I didn't ask her. I just came in here, I started cleaning, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about sweating while I'm trying to record an episode because I did my makeup. If you can see my little hat, I am actually going to a Selena tribute. I believe it's with the San Diego Symphony too, so that's going to be really cute and interesting. And I can't be else without that. Like, let's go. So I'm here in Abby's room. Anyway, I cannot believe that we are in September. Speaking of Abby, this is her birthday month and my brother's birthday month. But, September is a very special month for me because, well, Abby is my firstborn. And it was just crazy to think back on like how young I was and 19 and just like everything that led up to like her birth and how the whole month of September went. And so every time September hits, it's kind of like nostalgic for me. And I really reflect, and I can't believe that she's going to be 11. That's crazy. It honestly, I mean, it doesn't feel like it was yesterday, but it doesn't feel like it's been 11 years since I had her. And that kind of like segues into the topic that I want to talk about this week. And that is the magic of a year. I think that it's really difficult to kind of like think about how much happens within a year. I mean, 2023 kind of just flew by. If we really think about it, I swear to you, I feel like it was just yesterday that it was New Year's Eve. I remember me and Madi had our little New Year's Eve date. We went and we got sushi. We were walking around Old Town, and in my mind, like it really does feel like it was maybe like a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. It does not feel like it's been 9 months. And time truly does just fly by. And I think a lot of us feel this way, especially post COVID. COVID kind of made everything slow down. And when we were locked up and we were in quarantine, it was kind of just like we had to just sit there and sit with our emotions, sit with our thoughts, sit with different things, learn about ourselves if we took the time to do so. And before we knew it, 3 years flew by. I mean, COVID was literally in the beginning of 2020, and now we're like entering 2024, and it's wild. I saw like a TikTok on Instagram because I'm an adult and that's how that's how I watch TikToks. No, in reality, I don't have the time for TikTok, but I should go on there because clearly there's a lot of gems. But anyway, I saw this TikTok of a girl who was talking about like, we're at this weird stage in our lives, like as millennials, where we witnessed the world growing up in a different way. And then like COVID happened. And then now we're here in like this weird part of life where it's like we can't afford to live. We can't afford to buy a home. We can't afford to maybe even like move out, like most of us, like me. We were told to get education, and now education doesn't really even matter. And that's like such a hard pill for me to swallow because I'm 2 classes away from completing my master's program. And there's many times where I'm like, why am I doing this? Because I already have an associate's, I have a bachelor's, and that has got me nowhere as of right now. It's like as if the education portion doesn't really hold the weight that it used to. And so now that I'm so close, yeah, I'm going to finish. Yeah, I want to be part of that. Like, I think it's like 4% of Latinas that have a master's. I want to be part of that statistic. I want Latinas to have, education. But I'm like, okay, well, is a master's really going to open doors for me? Because I've applied to many places and I put like, I'm almost, by the time you guys get to this application and probably interview me, I'll probably be finished with my master's program. But it hasn't really got me anywhere. And I know that I'm not the only one that feels that way. So it's like I'm spending all this money, the student loans, and like it's like this is what we were told to do growing up. We were told that education was important, and it is. But then it's like we can't even do anything with it at this point. And I it's just crazy, like the way that the internet works and then trying to figure out different ways to make money using the internet because there's so many different avenues. But then it's like, are you too late to get into that like type of niche? Are you like right on time? Do you have the correct the correct content? And it's like even me creating this podcast, like it's a hobby for me and it's something that I really want to do because I feel like I have a lot to say and a lot of experience to share with others, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback which keeps me going. But then there are times where I'm like, what am I doing? Like it hasn't taken off the way that I wanted it to, or XYZ. But that's besides the fact. As long as we are doing things that feel fulfilling to us in the moment, the rest will fall into place. Everything always falls into place eventually. And I think that just right now is such a weird time. And I want to deep dive into that because I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. Last night, I was taking some time, like I do periodically, maybe twice a year, to kind of like go through my camera roll and just like get rid of like old pictures and videos or things that like make no sense, or things that I just don't need in there anymore, clear out energy that just doesn't benefit me. And as I'm going through these photos, I'm seeing the progression of 2023 happen. And it was pretty emotional to me. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. Um, I know that I keep boring you with the fact that I keep going back to the conversation about my explant surgery and just how it's been a very emotional time for me. I'm going up on 5 months now. Well, the end of the month it'll be 5 months since my explant surgery, and it's been a roller coaster of different emotions. There's days where I wake up and I'm like, you know what? They're not that bad. I can survive. I can survive with them as long as I love them. That's all that matters. But then there's days where I'm like, what the fuck did I do? And why the fuck did I do that? And I think that going back and looking at a lot of these like photos and videos of myself kind of like resurfaced that that like energy and emotion, because I was like, damn, like they looked good. And in the beginning of the year, I was working out a lot more than I've been working out. And I noticed it in my body. And I was noticing that I was just being very critical of myself. And something that I have noticed about myself for a while now is that I tend to really live in the past. I tend to kind of like dwell on things that have happened, or like certain moments in my life, or like certain times in my life where I looked a specific way or my hair looked a certain way. And I like think back to those moments and I'm like, why can't it be like that anymore? Like what changed? Like I was so much happier then, or I looked so much better then, and I find myself like picking myself apart. And so I had to like close my phone because I'm like, okay, I know that there was an intent and purpose behind what I was doing last night by going through photos and videos and just like clearing all that out. But it was also putting me in a space that I didn't want to be emotionally. But I wanted to think about it from a positive perspective and think, okay, how can I shift that mindset of like being in that negative emotions where I was feeling down on myself for making the decision of taking out my implants when I feel, mixed feelings about it, or the fact that I have been neglecting my workout and eating schedule when I was so like on top of it in the beginning of the year. I don't want to sit there and beat myself up. So I started looking at different photos. I started looking at photos of the girls and just seeing like how much has changed from March to September, and how much they've grown, and how much things have like progressed with the girls, and like Abby being in soccer now, and Camila just like her character and the things that she likes, um and I really thought about like the magic of a year, like how much can change in 1 year. And when I think about September last year, all of 2022, I was just finding out about myself. I was going through a moment of solitude. I was going through a moment of like realizing who I am, trying different things. I started yoga, I started cycle, and just really pouring into my own cup. And as I continue on with these routines and learn more and more and more about myself, I just reflect on everything that has happened in the year, and just how fast time passes, and how if we aren't sitting here in the present and really focusing on what's going on at this very moment, we can lose track of time. We can lose track of like what is important in life. And so I feel like, although it is really good to reflect and think about, where you may have been a year ago today to where you are now, and what has changed and how you've grown, and the things that were scary that you did, and new experiences that have happened to you, and maybe even some grief. It's also important to just be mindful of where you're at in this present moment, and give yourself tons of love for even being here, because I think something that I've been lacking is gratitude. Like just having gratitude for my current state, having gratitude for where I'm at in this moment, having gratitude for the people I have in my life, for the things that have happened to me. And while I may not be where I want to be or where I thought I would be in September of 2023, I'm also not where I was 2 years ago. I'm also not where I was 11 years ago when I had Abby. And that was a big like turning moment for me. It's like, okay, when I shifted my mindset and I really thought about like the girls and Abby and like even Camila, even though it's been almost 3 years since I've had her, just thinking back to like where I was, 3 years ago in September when I was pregnant, and how much has changed like emotionally and mentally for me, and where my growth has been. And 11 years ago, when I was pregnant with Abby, and I was like dying. I was dying. I was ready for her to come out because I was just like so big and heavy, and it was hot. It was summer, and I was just straight up not having a good time. But to think, 11 years ago, that Sylvia, that version of Sylvia, she didn't have a voice. That version of Sylvia was scared. That version of Sylvia was not prepared. That version of Sylvia felt very alone. And I give her a lot of love right now, because I know that a lot of my trauma has stemmed from that point and part of my life. And as I mentioned in the last episode, like we all have trauma. We all get trauma, and trauma can happen even from the womb. And so I think in this month of September, a goal that I have for myself is to not only continue to pour into my cup, because that's never going to end. I'm always going to be pouring into my own cup, but I'm really going to take the time to pour into Abby's cup, because I know that I gave her a lot of trauma. I know that she endured a lot of trauma in the womb. I know that she endured a lot of trauma at birth. My birth was extremely traumatic. And I know that she's endured a lot of trauma from that moment on in her life, just 11 years. And while I know that, again, I have to fill my own cup before I can pour into others, I know that Abby, in the month of September, like, it has to be all about her, because healing her is going to heal me. And pouring into her is also going to help me pour into myself. Because she and I, we went through a lot together. We went through a lot together. And I always say that even though I was young and I was not prepared to have a child, and I know that nobody really is prepared to have a kid, but I really was not prepared to be a mom yet. I was still a child myself. But I know that she saved me. She saved me from an abusive relationship. She saved me from a lot. And I know this sounds very dramatic, but maybe one day I'll get into like the nitty gritty details. But I know that she saved me possibly from death. And I know that I am alive today because of Abby, because I had her. And while we went through a lot together and throughout the years, because of her, I am who I am today. So, Abby, I dedicate this episode to you. I love you so much. You are my little star. You are my twin. And she's my number one fan, even though she acts like she's my number one hater, like all the time. She's not. She is my number one fan. And I love that girl so much. I love her. She is me. She is me. So, the magic of a year. The magic of a year. January to September felt like it flew by. Like, I can recall, bits and pieces of what happened in like different months, but it flew by. And so the next 4 months are probably going to fly by too. I mean, realistically, they are. And so I think today I want to end this episode with, I wouldn't say a promise, but I would say a goal or a desire. And my desire for the next 4 months is to be a better mom, is to pour back into my family, to learn more about them because I've spent 9 months, if not more, probably more than 9 months, learning about myself. And while I feel like I know myself pretty well now, and I feel like I'm living in my authenticity extremely well, I also feel like I need to take the time to learn my loved ones and learn the people around me and learn who they are and connect with them better because connection is important, community is important. And I feel lately like I've kind of been lacking that. Like I've kind of had another moment or, season of like solitude where I've kind of just like stayed to myself. I've been a little distant. I've been like a little bit in my corner and, not so much, I don't know, reaching out to like my community. And a lot of it is because I've fallen into a bit of a depression with my emotions and my choices and just like how life has gone. Because when you learn about yourself and when you start living in your authenticity, it's not easy. It's hard to face you. It's hard to face your quote unquote demons. It's hard to face your shadow side. Like all the bullshit that you do in your life that when you sit down and you're like, damn, I fucked up. Or damn, I do that and I don't know why I do that. It's draining, it's hard, and sometimes you don't, you have shame. I have a lot of shame. And I think that just really digging into that and like just not having a break, I've been forgetting to live. I've been spending so much time trying to heal and question myself and question my choices and just like sit there and observe and think and process that I've reached a breaking point, like a boiling point where I'm like, all right, I need to chill the fuck out. Like I need to like take a step back. I have the tools, I have the resources, I'm good. I've done a lot of work. Now I need to take the step back and just like live and stop focusing so much on that and stop like questioning myself and stop thinking that I'm like such an issue, or like trying to find where I'm an issue in different situations. I just need to step back and live and just enjoy life and not let these next 4 months fly by and me feel like what happened and where was I? Because I can sit here and be like, well, I've accomplished this, and I've really like, I've worked on this part of myself, and okay, but this is what I've been doing for the past over a year. So I'm going to take the next 4 months to just sit back, enjoy life, enjoy the holiday season, not put so much pressure on myself to work out, not put so much pressure on myself to look a certain way, not put so much pressure on myself to be upset with my past or the choices that I made, and just accept who I am and what I am, and allow myself to be in this present moment, because life is beautiful. And we really don't know how much time we have on this earth. Our time is borrowed and it's precious. And the people that we love and the people that love us back are so precious too. And so I hope that you guys will join me and just be present for these next 4 months. And although I sit on here and I really talk about like the importance of healing and of finding yourself and like just learning about you, it's important, yeah. But don't be like me and get so caught up in it that you forget about everything else that's happening in life. That you sit there and you are learning about yourself so much that you are just in a space where you can't even enjoy who you are. So that's what I'm going to do until 2024, and probably even past that. Healing is important. Authenticity is important. But living is probably the most important, because if you're not living, you can't do any of that. I love September. This is like the true San Diego summer. It's fucking hot outside, and hence why I'm in Abby's room with the AC on. But I love September. It's special to me. It's emotional for me. My firstborn, I can't believe I became a mom 11 years ago. My brother will be 19 this year, and 19 is like my number. It's my birthday. It's like my lucky number, and it was the year of that was how old I was when I had Abby, 19. So it's going to be a good month. It's going to be a very good month. And it is also the 6 month anniversary of my podcast. So happy 6 months, Sylvia Speaks. And the power of a year, right? Although, like I shared last episode, I'm not where I want to be in this podcast yet. But I know that great things take time. And who knows? In 4 months from now, I'm probably, who knows? I'm going to speak it into existence. In 4 months from now, this podcast is going to blow the fuck up. And I'm going to be in spaces that I never even imagined. And I'm going to be in the spaces that I've imagined too. Everything that I desire and I dream is on its way to me. And everything that I'm doing right now in this present moment is preparing me for those moments. So remember, stay in the present. Enjoy where you're at right now. Enjoy today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about 5 months ago. Don't worry about 2 months from now. Enjoy right here, right now, because this very moment, this day, you're never going to get back. So live in it and live it to the fullest. I love you all. Thank you for being here with me. And again, if you haven't already, please take the time to subscribe, rate, and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this podcast on. And subscribe to my YouTube. The video podcast will be available on YouTube and on Spotify. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate every single one of you who show up every week. Regardless if the topic resonates with you or not, regardless if I'm sitting here crying and whining my eyes out, or if I'm sitting here talking about something positive, you guys are just here and you support me, and I can't thank you enough. I love you all and have a great week. Happy September. Bye.